Hey guys, Jonathan Soto here, back again after a very long time of not doing videos. If you guys can see, my last video that I did was for Stranger Things Season 3 for its 5th anniversary. Now we are back again to talking about yet again another Stranger Things season. But before I get into this review, I wanted to quickly say that if you guys notice in the background, like why it looks different, yes, I have moved house recently. I do not live in the same house as I had all my videos in anymore. Like, if you guys remember, I've lived in that house for many years and I literally had my very first YouTube videos in that old house. So, not gonna lie, I really miss that house, but we just had to like change ways one way or another. But I mean, I'm already getting used to this place. Like, it's a nice place here. So, as for the review, today we will be reviewing Stranger Things Season 5. Now, you guys may know that Season 5 is the most recent season that has just come out, the final season of the entire show. And if you guys have been subscribing to my channel for for a while now, or even follow me on Instagram, like if you guys follow me on Instagram or on Snapchat, you guys should know that Stranger Things is my #1 obsession. It is my absolute favorite show of all time. Everyone knows, like, I'm just absolutely crazy for this show. Like, this show is like my biggest obsession ever. Like, I've never been so obsessed with something in my life. I mean, I take that back actually. I did have major obsessions with Star Wars and Stephen King materials too, but I would say this really like tops it though. I'm not gonna lie. I've been a huge fan of this show ever since middle school. This show I have gone way back with. I wasn't seeing it when season 1 first came out. I actually first started watching this when season 2 first came out. Well, a few months after season 2 came out actually. So yeah, that was literally like 8 years ago maybe. Oh no, like it was like 2018, so like now we're in 2026, so 8 years ago now. Like 8 years I've been like a complete hardcore diehard fan of this show. And I gotta say, like, this show has meant so much to me throughout the years. Like, this show has literally carried me throughout my entire youth years. Literally since like 7th grade all the way up to now. I am now like, I'm almost gonna be 21 later this year, but I cannot believe I have gone this long with this show. This show really has carried me along, like, throughout all my days in my youth years where I had troubles. Like, I would feel like so down, so sad. Anytime like depression would come, this was always the show to help me. This show has given me like so much good advice throughout every single season that's came out. Every single season, every character always gives some of the most beautiful advice I've ever heard, because I can relate to these characters intensely, like intensively, extensively, in every way. Like every way I can relate to so many of these characters. Like I can literally feel like what most of them are going through, like majorly. Like I can exactly feel what most of them are going through because I've had the same lives as they kind of did in high school, or like a lot actually. I didn't have much friends in high school. I only had like maybe just a couple friends, less than a couple friends even. But I felt like in high school that I just didn't really fit much in with other kids, like at all. Like I felt like I was the most different guy like in the whole school, like different, all capitalized. Like I was nothing, and I'm still absolutely nothing like most guys my age at all. So yeah, and the fact that a lot of these kids like had a lot of my same interests and they acted very similarly to how I act too just makes me so attached to them. And in a lot of ways I've even seen these kids as being my friends too. So yeah, this show has had a major impact on my life. And now that we're on the final season, I had high hopes, mega high hopes, mega high hopes. Like, they were insane. My hopes and my expectations for this final season were off the roof. And season 4, if you guys remember how season 4 ended, it made it seem like this was gonna be like the big battle, like the big final season, the magnum opus of the show, the season to really like wrap it all up satisfyingly and shockingly. Like, that's what all of season 4 was making this out to be. And that's what the directors and the entire cast was making this out to be too. But now that we're here, we have all the episodes of season 5. Like, they first started in the day before Thanksgiving. We had the next set of episodes on Christmas, and now we just had the finale episode yesterday. Now that we have every single episode, I have now seen it all. Now that we're all wrapped up, what are my thoughts on it? What do I think? Did this finale build up? Did this finale like exceed my expectations? Did it actually like live up to what I wanted it to be? Here is the short answer that is actually very unexpected of me to say, actually. The answer is no. It didn't live up to my expectations, and it did not live up to what I thought it was gonna be, what the whole last season was making it out to be, what the cast and directors are making it out to be, like what the hype was making it out to be. Like, I feel like this season did not pay off at all. Like, not at all. I'm just gonna say this. I have never, ever been so disappointed in my life. I have not been this disappointed since freaking Rise of Skywalker or like Halloween Ends. I literally thought nothing could go wrong with the season. Nothing at all could go wrong with the season. That this was gonna be the grand season, the epic finale, the season to literally like be the greatest of them all and to literally crap on all the other seasons. I mean, crap all over them. But no, all the other seasons just crapped on this one. And it really saddens me to say that. Like, you have no idea to like not say that I love this season and to not say that this season was like the best season, like my favorite season ever or something like that. I literally wanted to say that. I wanted the season to be my favorite, but it ultimately ended up being my least favorite. I know I said that about Stranger Things season 4, but over the years, as I have rewatched that season has grown on me quite a lot, actually. Like, I actually really do dig season 4. If you saw when season 4 first came out, I had very mixed feelings with it, because it was very different than the other seasons, and it had way too much going on in it. I felt it was like super bloaty, like when I first watched it. I still have some of the same flaws as I did seeing it the first time, but they've grown on me now. Like, some of those flaws, like, I don't really see as flaws anymore. Some of them, and then some others I actually like still get bothered by them. But I know for sure that I like season 4 a lot better than this season, honestly, especially over the years as I've given it more rewatches, and I've really seen like what it was trying to do. I really see the heart it had in it, the emotion it had in it, the stakes it had in it, the tension it had in it. And it's here in season 5. All of that is gone. All of that is gone. Like, completely gone. I mean, there are some stakes in this season, but they're not really that high though, and you don't even much feel them. In season 4, the stakes were like at the top of the tower, high, like higher than that even. You felt the stakes, you felt the whole weight and suspense in season 4 with every single plotline going on. You just felt it all. Here, that's not the case at all. Here, it's literally just like you're just watching something and you're just not caring. Like, you're just watching and you're just like, okay, next. Where's this going? What is even happening right now? Where's the action? Wasn't this supposed to happen? What are they doing? Like, that's all that you feel in the season. That's literally all the reaction in this season. Like, that's literally how I kept feeling throughout this entire season. Like, uh, I thought this was gonna go down a lot more better. Like, we're at this point in the show and still it's feeling this dry. Like, this whole season was nothing but dryness. Like, I thought this season there was barely even anything going on. Like, barely anything going on as there needed to be. In season 4, I mean, I know in season 4 I said my issues was there was a lot going on, but at least like in a lot of the stories, like, you cared and you actually like wanted like our characters to succeed, and at least there was still a lot of action going on in every single story in that. Here, there's barely any action. Like, there's barely any action sequences, and when the action sequences do occur, they barely even go on for not much time. Like, they barely even go on for any amount of time. The only scenes where I thought that had cool action sequences were episodes 3 and 4. And episode 6 had a pretty cool action sequence too, but it was only just one scene. There's not much action as I thought there would have been for being the final season too. After all the action that season 4 had, I was expecting this one to be more explosive, but no. Yeah, I'm just so bummed out by the season. Like, you have no idea. Like, my feelings are all over the place in this season. Like, I'm a lot more mixed feelings about this season than I even was when I first watched season 4. Now, let's talk about the episodes of the show in depth as we like carry on into what I think about the finale. Let's start off with episode 1. Now, I thought this season with volume 1 from episodes 1 to 4 was actually a pretty decent start, not gonna lie. Like, I actually thought when I saw this season first play out with the first 4 episodes the day before Thanksgiving that it was actually off to a pretty nice start. And I thought like this season was actually gonna be like the top tier season. Like, I was literally already placing this season above season 4 when volume 1 came out. And I literally thought that this was like setting up like what 5, 6, 7, and 8 were gonna be. Like 5, 6, 7, and 8 were gonna be even crazier than these episodes, but everyone knows that ultimately didn't happen. Episode 1 of the show I thought was pretty good. Episode 1 of the show, I would actually kind of say was one of the weaker episodes of the show, but it was nowhere near as weak as the last 2 episodes. I'm just gonna say that. Episode 1, I still thought had a pretty good start to it, but I arguably liked other season premieres better than this one, honestly. Like, season 4 had a way better premiere, I thought. This premiere was pretty cool. Like, seeing all the characters come together again, seeing where like everyone is at now after all the events of season 4, like seeing like how everyone's like feeling about their failure. We got to see their lives at school now, and the fact that Dustin still wants to continue Hellfire Club, like he's still honoring what Hellfire was because of Eddie. And then, sadly, he gets beat up by it. Oh, and another thing. I am extremely, extremely glad that the unnecessarily irritating jocks from season 4 played no part in this season. Like, they only just showed up in the first episode, and that was it. If you guys saw my review for season 4, you guys know that I absolutely hated the whole jock story in that season. Like, that whole story got on my last nerves. That was the biggest thing that irritated me in season 4. Like, I thought that whole story could have easily just been cut out, and it barely even went anywhere plot-wise. I just hated it every single time we kept cutting back to that. But I already talked in depth about that in season 4. I am so glad that these jocks aren't even in this much. They're just gone now. Like, I'm very, very glad and thankful that the Duffer Brothers did not continue off them anymore. As we get more into episode 1, I also noticed that the character of Holly plays a lot bigger of a part. And I really like that, actually. Finally, she actually becomes a part of the group. In episode 1, we saw everything start to unfold. They were going to start their plan with finding Vecna, like tracking him down in the Upside Down. I believe following the military to like see where Vecna was at or something like that. Oh yeah, and then there was this whole thing with the military trying to find 11 throughout the entire season. That whole military subplot I actually thought didn't have as much lore as there needed to be. And then we get on to episode 2. Episode 2 was when Holly gets taken by the Demogorgon. That scene was crazy. Like, I actually thought that was a very sick and intense scene in the show. When I was seeing that for the first time, like when it first aired, like I was in shock. I was right at the edge of my seat seeing the Demogorgon actually get involved with Mike's family, and he literally knocks out the dad, Ted. But I thought it was cool that Ted actually tried to defend himself and his family by using the golf club on him. Like, Ted actually did something in the show, finally. Like, finally, he gets up from his chair and does something. But then he just gets taken down so quickly. He's such a expendable character. But then after that, there's that whole huge suspense scene where Holly doesn't even know what that is, like what it is that's dragging her, that's coming after her. She thinks it's like an imaginary, like one of those imaginary monsters they would tell kids in the 80s, like, there's a monster in your closet. She was like so scared, and the mom was so scared too. Like, she couldn't believe like what was unfolding before her eyes. And that scene was so cool, like seeing her try her best at saving her daughter, that she literally just uses a wine bottle to start stabbing him with it. And that was the most bravest thing a mother could have done. That was actually a very, very dope scene in the show. Like, scenes like that were what made this season cool for me, and I just wish that there were a lot more scenes like that, though. The fact that that was in the beginning of the show, like, I just could not believe it. Like, I thought at that point, like, this really was gonna be the best season, but yeah, as more and more the show went on, my expectations died. I'll just say that. Yeah, in episode 2, there wasn't really much in episode 2 besides like Hopper and 11 being stuck in the Upside Down, because 11 was trying to look for Holly as she saw that a gate open as the Demogorgon took Holly. But she went in there and ran into Hopper, who was also in there because he was following the military man. There was not really much going on in episode 2, I would say. There was just them in the hospital grieving over Karen, and yeah, I thought there was a lot of like emotion with that actually, and I actually did feel really bad for Nancy and Mike. I think that's all that happened in episode 2 though, like that, and then they captured like Dr. K's right-hand man. And then in episode 3 is when they questioned him. Oh yeah, in episode 2 there was also Dustin and Steve being mean to each other, which I thought was kind of awkward, honestly, like throughout the season, but it paid off to something really, really nice, though. Yeah, so Steve and Dustin in this season, I thought really carried this season, honestly. Like, they yet again had amazing charisma, an amazing brotherhood that you just so love, and it's just so cute seeing them together. But Steve and Dustin, like, definitely the best two characters, like one of the best two characters in this show and the season, I would say. Back about the episode, now we get on to episode 3. I thought episode 3 was where the show really started to boost, not gonna lie. But like when they trapped the Demogorgon in the house and they're like barely starting like how they want to like proceed with their plan, knowing like what Vecna's motive is, so knowing what they have to do now. So they need like one of the kids that Vecna is after so they can like save the other kids, which I thought was pretty intense actually. Like I thought that whole story of Vecna taking the kids was actually pretty crazy actually. That whole aspect of the show was pretty cool, like in the first few episodes of the show. Episode 3 was such a cool episode, I thought, like seeing Erica finally come back. Oh, and that scene where Erica drugs Derek, the one that Vecna was after, along with Derek's family too, and her best friend, was hilarious. That scene with the needle, she was like, "You should have eaten your damn pie," and she drugs her friend. That was hilarious. And then in episode 3, that's when we see Camazotz. I think that, yeah, or I think in episode 2 they showed Camazotz, but here in episode 3 we get more delve deeper into Camazotz. And Camazotz is the place where Holly is staying in Vecna's mind. And let's talk more in depth about Holly now. I really dug Holly in this season. Like, I feel like they should have made Holly a bigger character in the show a long time ago, honestly. But Holly in this season, like, her acting was beautiful. Like, her acting was completely on point with like the rest of the cast. Holly in this season, what a great character that was. I dug her quite a bit, actually. I'm really glad that we had so much time and focus on her, because she deserved to like have a story after not being a part of it for the whole show. She had so many moments to shine here. She had such good development to her throughout the whole season. I really like the whole thing with her necklace, like her character she has. That's supposed to be like someone powerful from the D&D game that's supposed to represent her. So whenever she feels scared, to just go to that character and see what she would do, what she would want her to do. So I really like that whole part in the show. Like, she was smart. I'm just gonna say that she had intelligence in the show. Like, she honestly was one of the more smarter characters in the show. Like, there were so many dumb characters in the show, I'm not gonna lie, but Holly was one of the few that actually was smart. Like, for her age, she actually knew like what could go wrong in all this. And Max, I'm gonna say this. I was not expecting Max to show up very early in the season in episode 3. Like, I honestly thought Max wasn't gonna show up till like episode 5 or 6 or something like that. And that's the same with Callie too. I didn't think she was gonna show up like kind of early on in the show either. I thought she was gonna show up like towards the end to be like a surprise character that came back. But she played a pretty big role in this show. But well, I'll talk about Callie in a little bit though. But Max in the show, wow, she was sick in this show. She was awesome. And Sadie Sink yet again shined. She delivered beautifully the character of Max, and she had so much weight and emotion to her. She had so much mystery to her too, with how she had been in Camazotz for so long, and like what she was doing, how she figured out Vecna's weakness, her exploring Vecna's memories. Her and Holly's duo, like their relationship, like made this season for me, honestly. Their relationship was so dope in this season. Like, they had an awesome duo, honestly. And I couldn't have asked for a better duo in this season, honestly. They carried this season. They carried that whole plot line. And now we get on to the scene in the farm with the Demogorgon. Yet again, another awesome scene in the show. This whole sequence with trapping the Demogorgon in the Turnbow house, man, that was awesome. That was epic. That was so cool to see the whole Demogorgon getting taken down by the kids, the stakes being high with them having to like chase him down, track him down, them putting barbed wire on him, them burning him. Like, there was so much going on there, and all of that was to get to Derek. That whole scene in the barn was one of my favorite sequences of the show, actually. Then we get on to Derek. Let's talk about Derek real quick. I actually thought Derek was actually a pretty cool new character and added to the show. Like, he actually did have a lot of like emotion to him too, and he had some pretty great development too, honestly, because at first he started off as like this mean bully that just didn't care, who just kept throwing insults and just kept like thinking he could do whatever he wants. But he went from that to being like delightful. Like, they would call him Delightful Derek later on, and he would go from that to being really trying to be smart. Like, he really shows like the side of him that he never thought was actually there. Like, he was smart, he was brave, he really tried his best. Like, you can tell he really is trying his best, and he kind of has an idea of what's at stakes, but since he's a kid, he thinks he can like do it. Kids in the 80s had like this real sense of adventure, and you can so tell that with Derek too. And he's having fun doing this, and you can so tell that too. He was a perfect addition to the show. Like, he matched the show and the lore of the show perfectly. Like, unlike some of season 4's new characters like Jason and people like that. And then we get on to episode 4, which was easily the best episode of the show. I'm gonna say that. Easily the best episode of the show. This was like the last legit great episode of the show. I mean, no, I take that back, actually. Episode 6 was actually pretty dope, but This episode, wow, like this episode was mind-blowing. Like I could not even believe what I was watching the first time I saw it. Like I thought once we got this episode, I'm like, yes, yes, this season's gonna be good. There's gonna be more moments like this. But ultimately, this episode ended up being like the biggest peak of the show. Not anything else after that. But episode 4 though, like this was pure Stranger Things right here. This is just like Stranger Things at its best, at its peak. Like it is awesome. Like the whole sequence at the end is just mind-blowing, breathtaking in every way. Episode 4, how we started off with it with the military taking the kids. And that's another thing. The whole thing with the military taking the kids, like I don't think they ever properly explained like how the military knew what Vecna was doing. Cause I don't know if they had any connection with Vecna or if Kali told them about that, but I don't know how the military like found out about like Vecna's whole plan and how the kids could have been a part of it. So I thought that was odd, especially being like that. None of these kids, like their parents, like aren't even concerned at all. Like they know it's the military taking their kids, but it's like if I were one of their parents, I would go with them. Like I would literally go with them, trying to support them. Like why weren't any of their parents present? Especially since their parents are who kids most look up to. I thought that whole thing was weird. That was my only flaw with episode 4 though. But I really liked episode 4, how it played out, like with Robin's speech. Like the speech she gave to Will was so beautiful. And I even felt touched by that speech too. Like I kind of felt that speech in a way, honestly. It can help like any people who do feel lost. Any people who are like feeling sad or something like that. They can just see that scene, and that scene will like actually touch them in a way and maybe even make them feel somewhat better. I love that monologue by Robin. Oh, and the character of Robin in this show, I thought she was really, really dope in this show. Like, they really upgraded Robin in this show. She was a lot better in this season than in season 4, I would say, where in season 4, she was just like this big, endless talking machine that just would never shut up. But in this season, like, she's a lot different. She's a lot better. She has a lot more to do. She has a big role. So yeah, Will and Robin had such a cool duo in this show. Their friendship I thought was powerful, and I really did dig their relationship and all that they did together, all the help they would tell each other, like how much they could relate to each other. Robin, I really liked the whole thing with her in the way station. Oh yeah, and that's another thing about this season too. The way station in this season, we spend a lot of time here in this setting. Like I feel like this has been the grand setting of the season. I feel like every single season has that though. Like every single season has that prime location, like the prime setting of the show that everybody's in and that where a lot of time gets spent in. Like season 1's grand location was the buyer's house with all the Christmas lights everywhere. And season 2's grand location was the Hawkins lab, because that's where the gate was and that's where all the demo dogs were coming from, and that they would spend a lot of time there, and even Eleven would remember her backstory in that lab too. And then season 3, the grand location was of course Starcourt Mall. Like Starcourt Mall was literally where most of that show's like time went to. Like a lot of the time of that show went in that mall. And season 4, the grand location of that place was the Creel house. That's where the climax took place. That's where Vecna was hiding in. That's where they would investigate. And then season 5, the grand location is now the way station. I think that's such a cool trope of the show, that there's always like a location that everyone is always meeting up in, where everyone's like most comfortable and safe in. Well, the Creel house, I wouldn't say is a place like that, or the Hawkins lab, but it's where everything leads up to like, those places. As we get more along in the 4th episode, we get to see like Derek joining in on their plans. They're trying to help the kids escape from Vecna's grasp, but then they ultimately fail. Vecna comes after the kids with a whole army of Demogorgons. Everything gets down, like stuff goes real, like it all gets real, like it all gets crazy. It's just pure insanity, that whole last like 20-30 minutes of episode 4, with the Demogorgon showing up, all the kids in danger, the soldiers all getting literally munched up into pieces by the Demogorgon, and Vecna coming in like in his big form, like his big upgraded form, and just slicing and dicing all the soldiers there. And he literally, this was the most, like, one of the most brutal deaths I've seen in the show, actually. Like, I literally like jumped when I saw this scene, when Vecna literally stabs the soldier's eyes and mouth. Like, he stabs them right through. It was gross, terrifying, and just gnarly, I would say. I really wish more scenes like that occurred, though. Like, more gore like that, more violent scenes like that should have, like, gone down in this season. But for what we had with those scenes were still pretty cool. Right then and there, that's when Eleven and Hopper fight Dr. K, and that was also a pretty dope fight that went on. Dr. K like is kind of strong herself too, and then that's when they find Kali. The thing with Kali in this season, everyone doesn't like her. Like, everyone knows that season 2, her episode in that season was definitely the worst episode of this entire show, and I still feel that way too, actually. Not gonna lie, this season also had some of the worst episodes of the show, I would say. As we go more on in episode 4, we actually see Will get powers. He literally becomes like a full sorcerer, a wizard. He really becomes Will the Wise. And that whole scene where he took down the Demogorgons, he killed them the same way Vecna did and saved all his friends. That whole sequence, that entire like last like 10 minutes or so, phenomenally awesome. Like, this is where the show peaked. But then, sadly, right after this episode is where the show started to lag. Episode 5, I feel like there wasn't much going on in it, like, at all. Like, the only thing that happened was just at the end where they Frankenstein monster the Demogorgon, and then they try to look for where Holly is, but then they find Max there with Holly, and Lucas is, like, so in shock that his girl is actually still alive. Like, he is in shock, but also, like, I knew it. I knew she was still in there. So, yeah, that whole scene with Will getting in contact in Vecna's mind and drawing him away from Max, saving her, that whole sequence was so cool. That whole scene I thought was pretty great, and it really did build up a lot of, like, tense, I would say. A lot of, like, suspense, like, since literally Vecna ended up in like where they were, like almost leaving, and then Vecna, he actually showed his true self to Holly, and Holly finally seeing that Mr. Whatsit is not a good guy at all. That whole sequence was pretty dope. And then after that, we get on to episode 6. Let's talk about the relationship between Nancy and Jonathan. That whole scene with the breakup, with the whole fake proposal and them about to die, I thought that scene was very emotional, actually. Like, the charm that they thought they once had was never really there. And they finally open up to themselves that they never really liked each other or liked each other's interests, and they were just never happy together. They just thought they were, but they just really weren't. And so they just don't end up getting married at the end and just stay friends. And I thought that was a pretty powerful way to leave them off, actually. But here's where I get to my flaw with that scene. In that scene, they were literally about to die. They were about to drown in this whole, like, conference room in the lab in the Upside Down. And I thought that they could have died in that scene. If they died in that scene, telling each other, like, how they actually felt, I felt like that would have been a very powerful and impactful death scene right there. It wouldn't have hurt the show to have them die like that. But then, out of nowhere, the liquid just turns into hollow ground. And it's like, how did that happen? How did it turn into hollow ground? Like, what even happened? Did the liquid just respond to their emotions and save them or something? Like, what even happened? How did the ground even manage to turn hollow? There was no explanation. So all of a sudden, they're just saved. It was a nice scene, but I just feel like there could have been more impact if they died, but they didn't. So it is what it is. Oh, and that's another thing too. Jonathan and Nancy in this season, I really feel like had not much to do in this season. And Nancy didn't even have like much development in this season other than her with her relationship with Jonathan. But that's literally it though. And that's odd because in every single other season, she was a main focus in the story and she had her own storyline in every other season. But in this season, that's not the case. In this season, she doesn't even have a story. There's no emotional story to her that like leads up to somewhere or any like sense of like urgency that we need of her. She doesn't really feel much needed in this season, honestly. It's so disappointing considering that I really liked this character throughout the whole show, that she had so much time to her. She was literally like a protagonist of the show, like one of the main protagonists of the show, and they just turned her into a side character. And they do the same with 11 in this show. She's not even doing much in this entire season. Like, she doesn't even become like useful to the plot until like the very last episode of the show. I feel like in the rest of the season, she's just there. Most of the season, she's just separate from the group in the Upside Down. And she doesn't even learn much of what the Upside Down is herself. The only thing she learns about is like the military's motives for like trying to catch her to make more test subjects and to start Papa's group again. I think that's really all that she really did. Literally, she was just there for like a plot device and that's it. 11 in this season, I feel like was very underutilized here. There could have been so much more with her, like so much more, especially since the Duffers kept making this season out to be like season 1. But there's nothing much in this season that's even remotely like season 1. If they wanted to really make this like season 1, they would have had a whole lot more Mike and Elle scenes. But there were barely even any Mike and Elle scenes. They barely even had any charisma in this season or any scenes of them two together. Most of it just went with her relationship with Callie. Let's talk about her now. Callie, number 8, her being back from this show after a very long time, like 8 years now since we all last saw her back in season 2. And my goodness, how I cannot believe season 2's been out for that long already, in almost 9 years now. She didn't really do much either, I would say. She just got brought up just to add more exposition. That's literally all she did, was just say more of what the military was doing and to just be like extra hands just to help out a little bit. She only helped out just a little bit in the ending, I would say, but I don't know. I feel like they could have just done this season without her, honestly. And everyone on social media still hates her. I don't really like dig her that much. She's definitely one of my least favorite characters of the show. I just feel like her acting is not really all that either, especially compared to the other cast, honestly. Callie is a weak character, in my opinion. And now we get on to more about episode 6 now, with Holly and Max escaping Camazotz. And I gotta tell you guys, this was easily the best scene of volume 2 of season 5. So it was them escaping Camazotz. They're now gonna finally break free, and Max is running up that hill again. That scene was fantastic in season 4, and I am so glad and delighted that this scene is brought back again, because we needed, I mean, we didn't really need this scene to be brought up again, but I just really appreciate that they actually went for it and actually revitalized this scene, because we all loved that scene so much in season 4. So I just love how it got brought back again in another emotional way too. Max has finally gotten brought back to her full body form. She has escaped Vecna's mind for good after being there for a year and a half now. Yeah, and I really love that whole monologue she shares with Holly too, that she is a brave girl, more braver than any of her family, that she has brought her so long. She was the one that has helped them escape. It wasn't Max, like it was all Holly that helped them get to where they needed to be, because she was the one that found that cave underground. around. She was the one that had the idea to leave the safe zone. And from there, that's when they finally found the full way to leave. And oh yeah, and this scene too. This scene especially, when it was at that part too, there was also at the same time a full hospital chase scene. And this was an intense moment. This moment got me at the edge of my seat. And I thought when we got at this moment that episode 7 was going to be even better with another scene like this. And that was the demo dogs all in the hospital trying to go after Max. But Lucas, being the brave guy that he is, the brave guy with the huge heart for Max, like he has full love for Max. He is the #1 boyfriend because he carries her and carries a stereo with him at the same time. He is strong, and I'm sure he is getting very tired doing this, but he doesn't care. He's going for it, for how much he loves Max. And then that whole scene where the demo dogs are gonna literally eat them in the laundry room. Robin keeps telling Lucas to turn down the volume, but he's not doing that, even though he knows the demo dogs can definitely hear it when they can get closer. But he doesn't care. He's doing it all for his girl. He wants to see her again. He is doing all that he can to finally be with her once and for all. And by the end of it, they succeed beautifully. Because then, right there, Mike's mom, Karen, comes in and saves them all by putting a stick of dynamite, or I think it was dynamite, in one of the laundry compartments. So she does that, and all the demo dogs blow up, and they're saved. That whole scene where Max wakes up and she literally cries that she missed Lucas, she missed being out in the real world, she missed all her friends, and then right there, all her friends come in and they all hug her. Like, it's just such a beautiful scene. Scenes like this, I needed more of in season 5, but there just wasn't enough scenes like this in season 5, and I feel like season 4 and season 3 were filled with to the brim with scenes like this. Then, after all that, we get to the last 2 episodes of the show, which were easily the worst episodes of the season. And man, could they have ended the show much better. Episode 7 specifically. Episode 7 being the second to last episode of the show, and that episode literally being nothing but just a whole bunch of nothing, was such a complete disappointment. I was so hyped up with episode 6, but when we got to episode 7, the season just went downhill completely, and I couldn't believe that. Episode 7, when I was watching it, I was expecting the whole big war, the final battle, like this was gonna be the start of the final battle, part 1 of the finale. And that's what I always thought ever since they first announced these episodes, that these episodes were going to be 8 episodes long. I thought episode 7 was when things were going to get real, like things were really going to get down, but no. Episode 7 was the driest episode of the entire season, and what a letdown of an episode that was. And it deserves all the low ratings it's been getting. But I will say this though, I don't think it deserves lower ratings than Season 2 Episode 7 did, though. I've been seeing on IMDb that this has a much lower score than Season 2 Episode 7 did, and I am very surprised, actually, because I never thought there'd be an episode that would have a lower rating than that one. I'm like, oh yeah, it was a letdown, but I don't think it's like the dead worst one, but probably like the second or third to last episode of the show. But I don't think that... I think people are overreacting a little bit on that point, but the episode just didn't really, like, live up at all to me. Oh, yeah, and the whole scene where Will comes out to his friends, I thought that whole scene came off more cheesy than it did emotional, because I don't know what it was, but something about that scene just felt off. I can't quite put my finger on it, but I feel like they could have done it more better. They could have maybe narrowed it down to who he told. Like, he should have told lesser people, maybe like just his mom, or like his mom and Mike alone, or his mom and his brother or something. I feel like him coming out to the entire group like that just felt a little cliche, honestly. Before we talk about the final battle, I really quick want to talk about the stuff that happened before then. Like, Vecna's reveal. The whole reveal of how Vecna got his powers and how everything started. Now, I thought this was really, really cool, honestly. This was actually very, very interesting to see, and I was not expecting this at all. So, Vecna, he became exposed to a rock from the Upside Down or Dimension X. He became one with the Demogorgon right there when he touched that. When he touched that, he automatically got powers and he got drawn into the Mind Flayer. The Mind Flayer made him a vessel right then and there. His very first vessel, a part of his plan to finally do what he's always wanted and to take down another world. And that whole thing was insane, I thought. That reveal had so much emotion to it. Like, wow. I really, really liked what they did with that. From there, Vecna saw that he actually once did have a good side. And to be honest with you guys, I honestly thought Vecna was literally going to turn completely good right there. He would have reflected on himself and helped the team take down the Mind Flayer completely. But no, he ended up going to the same route he always was in. And I'm like, damn. Now that's a villain right there. That is a menace right there. And then after that, we also see Callie die. Callie died from getting shot by that one dude, Kay's best man. And I feel like her dying wasn't really all that emotional, to be honest. I don't know, like, I think it's just because, like, how we all feel about the characters. But I really, really like this scene. This was a really sick scene where right after she died, Eleven literally made Dr. K's best man. She used her power against him and made him shoot himself. That was sick right there. I was so glad he died. He went down like that. I did not like him whatsoever, and I was very glad and satisfied how he went down. But I just wished that Dr. K would have died. And that's another thing in this season. Dr. K, her fate is literally left completely out of the blue because Dr. K, nothing even happens to her. And that is very upsetting to me considering all the bad she's done and how evil she was. I was expecting her to really like get demolished at the end, but nothing even happened to her. No damage at all. What even happened to Dr. K? I feel like that she didn't even do much either at all. She was also underutilized, I would say. There wasn't really much backstory to her. I didn't really like feel like the weight in her character that much other than like how powerful arms she has with the military. I just didn't really feel it with Dr. K. She was definitely one of the weaker like the weaker human villains of the show, honestly. Oh, and another thing, Colonel Jack Sullivan. Why was he set up so much in season 4 just for him to literally not do nothing by this season? Jack Sullivan had so much screen time in season 4, and they went nowhere with him. That's so weird. Kim and Jason in this show and the whole Hellfire cult thing, they went nowhere with those two subplots in season 4 in this season. So why did they take so much time with him in season 4? That's also been frustrating me quite a bit in this season. But I'm glad their stories are over and done with though. And then we get on to the heart-to-heart scenes with some of these characters, like Steve and Jonathan. Jonathan actually saved Steve from falling down. And I got freaked out in that scene when Steve fell down. He almost fell down the tower, but Jonathan grabbed him right on time. And I was so delighted that nothing happened to him. They got my boy Steve. I really like that whole heart-to-heart scene with him and Jonathan, them finally expressing their feelings to each other, and then they finally expressed to each other that neither of them want Nancy. That Jonathan saw that all his problems with him and Nancy weren't because he left in California. It was just them all along. Steve saw that he was never meant to be with Nancy. And so now they're just both like accepting the fact that they need to be independent. That they all become independent at the end. I thought that was a very clever thing to do, actually. Them like not ending up together at all and them just going on with their lives with what they want to do independently, I thought was a very bold move that the show did, actually. I'm very fascinated by how it all ended with them, actually. Now we get on to the final battle. Let's talk about the final battle. That whole final battle Yeah, it could have just went on so much longer. There was barely any fight, I thought, at all. By the end of it, they revealed the Mind Flayer. But the Mind Flayer just ends up being like some big kaiju monster who's not even that big, if I'm being honest. If you guys saw in season 2, they make him out to be the size of a building. This big mother lord of all Demogorgons. I'm gonna say right off the bat that the final battle was a huge, huge disappointment, honestly. It was an extreme disappointment. But the epilogue, though, I gotta say, was beautiful. And it was satisfying in every way. But the whole, first hour, 20 minutes or so of it, I thought could have been much, much better. Because this is supposed to be the grand finale of the entire show, the final battle of all battles of the show. This is supposed to be like the big fight between good and evil, between the party and the big evil villains that were always built up to be these strong, unstoppable beings. These strong beings that have to take real effort to take down. They are interdimensional beings that are unpredictable. And they kept saying that in season 1 too. Season 1, that's what they made the Demogorgon out to be. And that's what they made the Vecna out to be in season 4. And the Mind Flayer, they made him out to be exactly that in season 2. But as we get to that final battle, I feel like that fight literally just went on for just 10 seconds. Lesser than that even. Like, this Mind Flayer is this big, powerful, intelligent, unknown being. From what it's done in season 2 and 3, all the damage it did and how strong we saw it was, and its head poking out from the gate at the end of season 2, and this is what its final form comes out to be, is just massively disappointing, massively underwhelming, and I cannot believe they did the Mind Flayer that dirty. I honestly thought the Mind Flayer was one of the coolest villains I've ever seen in any show. He was so intelligent, there was so much he had planned, there was so much hate in him, all it wanted was just to rule and consume. But then, by the end of it, they just make the Mind Flayer out to just be this big dumb monster that just wants to eat and that's it, and it just gets taken down in the most laziest way possible. They take it down in literally less than 2 minutes, lesser than that even. All they use is literally just a flamethrower, and that's it. How strong and unstoppable they were making this out to be throughout all of the other seasons, and this is how it comes to be for it to die? It didn't even look like it got much damage taken to it either. Why? Why would they do the Mind Flayer like that? Just to get taken down so easily? Lazy. Lazy right there. And Vecna, the whole fight between Eleven and Vecna, I thought was cool, but man, did it go on for very little time. There could have been so much more time and banter between them two, so much more weight and emotion between their fight. But it was literally like they just brushed through that whole fight, just rushed it all just to get to the epilogue. Even in season 4, when they were fighting through their minds, that was a much bigger fight. That was a much more violent fight with so much more emotion than this fight even did. This whole final battle was nothing short but crap. I cannot believe this is how they end the villains. They could have done so much more. This whole final battle could have been so much more crazier. There could have been so much more action, so much more stakes, so much more weight. But I barely even felt anything as I was watching this final battle. And then everything just happens quickly. So after that, that brings us to the scene where Joyce completely decapitates Vecna. And I really, really dug that scene. That was such a cool way for Vecna to die right there, and everyone watching him die, and everyone remembering all the badness and the horror and terror and trauma that Vecna has caused upon them throughout the entire years. And that was so satisfying to see. He went down in the coolest way possible. But I just wish they could have done the same with the Mind Flayer, though. And then that leads us to the scene where they destroy the Upside Down. The Upside Down is now finally destroyed, and they can finally go to their peaceful old lives as they missed. And then from there comes the scene where the military completely takes hostage of all the kids. And their main goal is to look for 11. But 11 in this scene has to sacrifice herself to save her friends. At least they got this right. Well, somewhat right. Well, we'll talk a little bit more once I get more like deeper into the epilogue. But this whole scene with 11, her and Mike saying their last goodbyes because she has to stay in the upside down while it's all getting destroyed because she can't risk having her friends die because of them always looking for 11. Like, she has to end everything once and for all. The upside down and the Hawkins lab experiments. It all has to end. So she does the bravest thing. She dies for her friends to show how much she loves them, to show how much she loves Mike. And her and Mike have one last scene together where they say how much they love each other ever since he took her in when she was in the woods and she was lost. Like, not only in the town, but lost in the mind. And he saved her. Beautiful scene. And then Purple Rain playing in the song was so beautifully well fit in. And they kiss in that scene. They say their last goodbyes. And it was such a touching scene right there. They ended her character off pretty nicely, I thought. This has been getting a lot of mixed reviews, the way they ended off with 11. But I like how they ended with 11 here. And then after that, that brings us to the epilogue, which, like I said, was beautiful. I couldn't have asked for a better closure to the show because this was absolutely satisfying. It relaxes you that this is the way they end the show, and this is the way all our beloved characters end. Everything is completely normal in Hawkins now. The group is now graduating. Our main beloved characters are now finally graduating, and they're gonna lead on to a new chapter of their lives. And this whole scene with the whole graduation ceremony was beautiful and magnificent. This whole scene was amazing. I loved Dustin's speech that he gave. His speech was completely riveting and touching in every way. And I felt in every word he said. Him saying that there's been a lot of horrible throughout these last few years, but also a bunch of good too. And we get to see Max and all his friends, like, they all had shared some very, very fun memories. Even though, like, they almost died in many places, they had fun doing this. And he also says that he wouldn't be anywhere without his friends. His friends have really brought him all this way. And after all that, he says, screw this school, screw the community, screw the system. And then he flips off the principal and snatches the diploma and runs away, just like Eddie wanted to do. He fulfills Eddie's legacy, and he does it in an awesome way. And this was so cute right here, so cute, when Stacy, the girl who rejected him at the snowball dance, actually approaches him, and she actually wants to get to know him. She actually wants Dustin now. She thinks that he's a badass. This was adorable. I really dug that. He deserved that. He deserved that after all he had done. He is a badass after all. And she invited him to a party. And I 100% think that they should have gone to that party. I know parties are out of their league, but with all they've done, they could have at least tried to have done something different. But it's still fine the way they ended the show, though. But the way this episode ends, all the characters with Hopper and Joyce. Hopper actually proposes to Joyce, like, this was perfect. So perfection. This was awesome. Them getting married. They're finally gonna be happy once and for all. And then that leads us to the very final scene of the show, and that is all the kids being gathered together for a last final D&D game. It ended right where it started. It started with the D&D game, ended here. And the whole D&D game, this was yet again another perfectly astounding scene, because the way it ended off everyone's characters, showcasing where everyone is after the events of this scene, Dustin going to college, Max and Lucas finally having their date at the movies, Mike writing a book about all this, and Will getting a boyfriend. This was such a magnificently fantastic ending for their characters. And the tears from them, so emotional. Them crying from the story that Mike tells, and that they're all growing up, and the mage 11, they believe that she's actually alive, that the whole thing of her dying was just an illusion from Callie, and that she made it out alive and moved on peacefully without any of them. I like to believe that that was true. That was true what Mike said, that 11 actually lived. She actually finally found peace. She found peace by herself. But then again, there's also another part of me that's saying, I don't want to believe that, because there's no way she could have moved on by herself without the friends that literally got her through when she was lost, got her through and saved her from all the torment she went through in the lab. I don't know, honestly. I don't know if 11 is still alive or not, but it would be really cool if she was, though. Like I said, yeah, that whole scene, all the characters crying, them putting away their journals, them realizing that they are now adults now, and they miss their mage so much. That whole scene honestly almost got me in tears too. I didn't completely cry from this season, but I was very close to. I felt the emotion in this scene. I just felt it all the way through. What a way to end the show right here. I just wish the final battle could have paid off a lot more better though. That's my biggest flaw with this whole season, was the final battle. I've already talked about it enough. I've already expressed my energy enough. For my rating, as far as rating goes, I think I would actually give this season a B or B plus, I think. I don't think this season is A tier like all the other seasons were, just because how much that final battle let me down and how dry a lot of the season was, and my expectations not meeting at all, I would say. But this was still a pretty great season of the show nonetheless, but not gonna lie, I would say one of the weaker seasons, if not the weakest actually. But let me know what you guys thought of this season. Did you guys enjoy this review? Let me know if I missed out on anything from the season. Let me know what you guys thought of the epilogue. Were you guys satisfied with the way the season closed? Leave it in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching this video, and bye. See you all in the next review.